Hello, and we are live. Hey, this is Dawn Sarah, and this is the Empire Building Mastermind Hangout for luminary coaches and business owners and people who are interested in the consciousness of your business, just like you. So welcome, and if you're watching from the event page, go ahead and click on the link and you can join us. It's just all you have to do is just click right on there and join to watch. And I hope that you will be in here shortly with us. This week we're talking about, gosh, what did I say we were talking about today? I have to look at this. We're talking about right. Creating and building an amazing relationship with your business and your empire, and stop guessing what to do next and let your business guide you. That's what we're doing, and we're going to have a hot seat today. So if you want to be in the hot seat, get in the hot seat heaven. You're going to have to come on the inside because that's where it happens. So hopefully you can join. Hi, Robin. I see you've got your earphones on.
Hey, 3 times.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I can hear you. Yay. Okay, so I've got Mark muted, so if he comes back in, if he comes back in, we'll have to unmute him because he's got a little static on his background. So, and you'll notice if you come in from the outside, you're going to want to make sure you mute yourself before you join. And here we go. There's the link to join. It's on the event page. All right. So take a deep breath, everyone, because today we are going to really talk about creating a relationship with our business and getting in touch with that, communicating with our business, talk about it just as if it's another person, and we're going to have conversations with it and figure out what does our business want us to do next. Isn't that fun? I think so. It makes things easier when you are tapped into the consciousness of what is trying to come through you. And yeah, right, Robin, I see you. Sorry. And hopefully you can switch and get in here and make that happen. So today, though, we're going to talk about that, and hopefully we won't go the full hour unless you come in and you have a lot of questions. We're just going to just get in with this and hopefully give you some tools that'll help you make this building a business and deciding what's next on your business a whole lot easier. And I'll give you some examples of what's going on in my business, and so you can either do what I do or think I'm crazy or try it for yourself, because I found out that it kind of does work. And Mark, I just turned off your your camera too. So let me know when you're back by clicking on the chat, doing a little chat here. So where does this start? Okay, so sometimes your business is asking you to do some things, and I don't know how does that happen for you, but for me it just happens. Like I wake up and I like maybe for several days in a row I get the same message, like do a workshop, do a workshop, do a workshop, and you're like, okay, where'd that come from? And how do you actually go about following those, or do you follow those nudges about that are asking you, your business is asking you to do something that maybe you're not ready to do. Maybe you thought that you want to do something different, and how do you determine whether or not it's a distraction? Because sometimes we attract distracted ideas, and sometimes we're attracting, inspired ideas. And so how do we determine whether or not it's a true inspired next step for us, or how do we know whether or not it's a distraction? So we'll talk about those today too. So first things first is to always take a deep breath and trust Trust that you're here for right now, that there is a reason why you're here. There's a bigger purpose than you or I know than for you to be here today. And trust that that you will get something out of this that is specifically for you. So welcome, and hi, Robin. Welcome to you. I can see Mark, but Mark can't hear us. I am saying wonderful things. He says, I can't see you. I know your mouth is moving, but I can't hear anything. My suggestion, I'm going to type this in here, is to see if your computer is muted. Because I had a thing the other day that was happening for me. I had my computer muted. No
Where do you
sound.
do that?
I know. What was that, Robin?
Where do you actually mute or unmute your computer as opposed to mute or unmute your Hangout?
Well, for me, I did it. You can do it on your settings. You can check your settings on the Hangout. You can check, but he won't be able to do that.
Mine just crashed again. Wait,
Oh.
no, that was Safari. I'm not on Safari. I'm on Chrome. Okay. It beeps when a chat message comes on.
Okay, so it's not.
What if you just did you try dropping off and coming back on, Mark? The gremlins are out today.
No.
I am unmuted.
Woohoo! How did you
me,
do
but
that?
I don't hear you.
We hear
I just
you.
waving and
Yay! Well, we
I feel the vibration from here.
Oh man.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good.
Except for now, we can hear you, but you can't.
I will try logging out and logging in again.
Yay.
Look at that beatific smile that Robin is showing there. Good. Okay, thanks, Robin.
Okay.
Checkman, over and out. Where do I don't even know where to hang up. Hang up, Mark.
All right. I've got to make sure that I keep him muted when he's doing his in and out stuff. All right, so okay, so what we're doing is we're taking a deep breath again and just trusting that that there is something much bigger than us guiding us in everything that we do. And there's this understanding that I'm so open to and so seeing it in everything that I'm doing recently, and that is that you can be doing something like you can have a goal or be in a business or have a relationship or and it's all around these desires. So like the desires there, and we're going to talk maybe just a little bit about that law of desire, that the desire is there to help us move along. Like that's that belief has led me to the most amazing things in my life, and I've seen how that belief in understanding that there's a desire and that the desire moves you towards a bigger expansion, moves you towards your life purpose, moves you towards the perfect thing for you at any given time. So the desire, if we get into the habit of following our desires, we get into the habit of growing. That's my basic belief, and I've seen that happen for me, and I've got 3 amazing kids, and I know as long as I'm helping them as long as I'm facilitating this space where they're allowed to pursue their desires and help them define what desires are theirs as opposed to if they're doing something because they think they should be doing it, they grow naturally, effortlessly. Our home is pretty much a low stress home, so if there's any stress going on, it's always internal, and then we can talk about that because they know that there's no stress being put on them from the outside within our house. But just this basic premise of being able to follow that desire. So here's the the understanding that I want to kind of bring into this conversation today is that when you have a desire to do something or to be something, and so you start pursuing it, like building a business, that the desire's there, kind of there to lead you. But in addition to there being this desire that's like the carrot on the stick, that's moving the horse along the path, there's also a relationship there. Kind of there's the holder of the stick, right? There's the consciousness that is the relationship between you and the desire. So there is a we'll call it, and I've been calling it a we that's there. And what it is, it's a relationship that wants to be acknowledged. It doesn't even want to be acknowledged, but it's there for you to tap into, so you can find out more about, what the desire is there for. You can find out what makes it easier is if you have a relationship with that consciousness that's there, that's kind of connecting you and that your desire together. And I am trying to find a really great and easy way to explain that because it seems like, just so many words, but like if I can boil it down to just one concept, is there's a relationship. And, maybe this is that love relationship. Maybe this is, the divine. This is the God, the glue that sticks everything together. But it's there, and it's what wants to kind of help you along the way. So if you can be in relationship to that, if you can have a relationship with this love that wants to, help you have what you want, then it becomes so much easier. So we're talking about business, and that's what we're going to talk about today, is how can we be in relationship with this consciousness that's really there helping us move along, like it wants to help us have what we want, and it's there to help us understand what we're doing, understand that there's an easier way, understand that what we want is it's right there in front of us, and it's always there to have a relationship, but it really wants the relationship with us. That's all this thing wants. And so there's the desire, it's the stick, it moves us along their path, but there's it's this relationship that is happening between everything. And that's where, for me, that's where God comes in. Mm-hmm. That's really like I'm in relationship with my business, but it's really the God of, it's really God in my business that I'm talking to. I hope that makes sense. So when I'm thinking about, like when I wake up in the morning, and like this is what's happening for me for the last 3 days. Every morning I'm waking up, I'm just in my space of self-appreciation, because that's my practice. My morning practice is, fill myself up with self-appreciation before I move into anything else. I do that first. Then from there, it's so much easier for me to be in relationship to like being grateful for everything else that is in my life. Then I'm like, that's how I fill myself up. I know some other people do, like, gratitude first. But for me, the only thing that works is, well, not the only thing that works, but it just is so much easier for me to align myself with that self-appreciation than the gratitude. So as I'm doing this, that like for the last 3 days, I've heard this, do workshops, Dawn, do these, and there's, self-appreciation workshops. So you'll see some of these coming up.
Yay!
But I'm like, okay, I got it. Like 3 days in a row, you don't have to tell me anymore. I'm doing it. And but that's what's there, and we can either listen to it, we can either have a relationship with it, with our business, or we can totally ignore that there's a relationship there, and then we can go from our own mind and our own understanding and try to trudge along and make it work without consciousness, without expansion, and just like doing it like there's a map there. Somebody else is doing it this way, and they showed me that this is the way that it's supposed to work, so I'm going to follow that plan, and I'm going to make it happen. that, to me, that's a lot of hard work. And for me, it's all this work above your head. So that's when you get into this like whole spin cycle of these thoughts going over and over and over again. But when we give ourselves permission to be in relationship with our business, we are giving ourselves permission to be in our business from our neck down. It's like we're in our heart. Like we can begin then to fall in love with the work that we do. That's what I'm here about, is like, can we fall in love with ourselves? Can we fall in love with our lives? Can we really fall in love with the work that we are here to do? That's the kind of conversations that I want to be in. And, of course, my business is like moving me in that direction as well. So how are we being in relationship with our business? How can we make this so much easier? Those are the questions that I'm opening up today. Are you aware that there's a relationship there that's just ready to like give you all the answers, or at least give you the next step? Or does that still scare you? Does that feel like really foreign? And I'm guessing that, Robin, you're like, yay, I totally get this. This is so much fun.
I do. Yeah, I definitely, that's where I want to be. I can't do my business if I'm not in it like that.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. I just won't go there. And finding my way in that with, yes, many voices on some side or another saying, you've got to do it this way, or you shouldn't do it that way, is, that's what I've been swimming through, like swimming through peanut butter, as someone once said. Yeah. And gradually just getting clearer about what's really in me to do and what I found out that I would be disappointed if I didn't do what was inside of me, and I've carried disappointment from not having done it. So there's been some debris clearing of the results of disappointment. They're resentment, right? Is it you who talks about that? If you don't do it the first time, it gets resent. It's like a piled up inbox of disappointment.
Yeah.
And so, but that's all that is just sort of debris. It's like a bunch of leaves that fell and kind of molded down on the ground, and just can move it out and be clear though of what is being given from that insight, from that relationship you're talking about.
Yeah.
I had a friend who used to say, God is the third party in all relationships.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
The relationship with our businesses. I kind of don't even want to say the word business. I want it to be much more of a love affair than what I picture when I think of the word business.
Yeah. So what if I love this. So this is a great conversation to like, because I have, for me, it's a love affair with the work that I do, like whatever that is.
Yeah.
And that feels to me like, and it's not work, but that the word work to me means, like, it just means that this is where my value in the world kind of like comes together. And so that's my work. And where the world is receiving my value, that's where I work, right?
That's right.
So it's so for me, it's falling in love with my work. I love falling in love with, my life. That's been like the hardest journey for me, is to like, fall in love with my life. But now it's like, can you really fall in love with your work, like the work that you're actually doing? Mm-hmm. Are you in love with it? And you should be. And this is the whole point of this conversation today, is like finding what parts of what we do that we can really stand behind and say, and are we listening to that, the relationship between you and, what'd you say, the
third party relationships.
Yeah, the third party in all relationships is God, and I believe that. So, and we tend to think that relationship, like what you're talking about, is like it's a relationship between two people. But it's, for me, then all the work that I've done with habits and all the work that I've done with understanding, your calendar and stuff. Like, we have a relationship with our calendar. We have a relationship between anything that moves us into physicality. We have a relationship with this. We have a relationship with our body. Are we paying attention to that relationship? And are we paying attention to what, the relationship with our body? There's me, there's my body, and then there's, the third party. And that third party is really what wants to have the relationship. So the third party is what's bringing us together, right? So the third party is bringing me together with my body. There's a relationship. The third party is bringing me together with my work. There's the relationship.
The third party is the matchmaker.
Yes, the matchmaker. Love it. Gosh, I love this consciousness raising.
Matchmaker, matchmaker.
And it's not just, so we're not just having the relationship with, and to be very clear, and yeah, maybe it is that, maybe looking at it as that matchmaker is really a way to say, bring me in closer relationship. The matchmaker is letting you know how to have a better relationship with, your body, better relationship with your work, a better relationship. And I'm like really feeling into this, like whether or not that matchmaker is the relationship that feels the best, like the word for it. It kind of feels good. It does feel good, but for me also, it's a loving relationship that I have with the matchmaker. It's like that's the relationship that I'm really having, listening to, and that's that, like having that respect and that, that understanding that there's all of that abundance in the world is there for me within this relationship. I call it my higher self. We call it God. I think it's always, just that divine piece of what, the love that sticks everything together.
I like calling it glue. I like to think of it.
It's just the glue. It's just the glue that sticks us all together. So we are, have like open conversation about that relationship, like about our relationships with our work. Are we in love with the way our relationship with our work is going? Are we in love with, and if the answer is yes, then celebrate that. Can we learn how to celebrate that and really get ourselves into the work, our work, more and more expansively, and do it in a more evolved way so we can honor that relationship a little bit more? Or is there troubles, and how do we be open to having that conversation with that relationship? That's the bigger question, and yeah. So Robin, I love how you always raise consciousness. So, and it's always helpful for I think it's always helpful for you to, when you're having these conversations, to hear yourself. So, where are you in relationship to your business? Do you feel like or in your work? We'll just call it your work because that is such a much easier word to use. How do you feel that your relationship is with your work right now, like today?
Yeah, today I feel like I am in my third trimester of a pregnancy, of giving birth. That I have people who want to work with me and who may not know exactly what they're going to get from me, but they want it.
Right.
So there's kind of a clarifying work for us to do together, for me to do, because the voice of doubt has been so profound for me. It has been such a squelcher. And I've come to see that there are so many voices, all parts of me for my highest good, but that I have had the mic on some of the less optimal voices without letting the more polite ones speak. And so the court hasn't, we have not heard all the voices to the degree they should have been heard. And so then the actions that come out of that have been muted. The muting has been on some of what I can offer.
Mm.
And so, and it's habitual. So, so my work is right now is getting it out no matter what, even if it's coming out like a splat or a mess, because it's coming out. And that's like how it's coming out. And I think that people I work with may just really relate to that because they too have something powerful and precious inside, and it's not so just flowing out because there are those also those voices. And I don't know how much I will ever be dealing with other people's voices, but I think that the powerful, beautiful, residing gift and offering inside does have to be allowed to come out, even if it comes out kind of funky in its first state, you know? So for somebody who likes to have it be elegant right from the get-go, so for me, the falling in love, I think, is falling in love with that, falling in love with the imperfection and falling in love with the offering of it for just the sake of the glory of offering it and the light that comes out. Even if I have a judgment that it's not light, it's coming out and it's light. Yeah. So getting that into an offering that makes sense is where I'm in my third trimester.
Yay. Well, you're not the only one. I think that, and you know, I think that we, as you know, don't just call us. I've been calling us, you know, consciousness raisers. You know, we're here to do a lot more than just, you know, do our business and do our work. We're here to light the way for others, and this is really, this is the tough part. So like and I'll call us luminaries. But as luminaries, we are here. We're doing our own inner work as we're moving along, and we're lighting the way for other people to follow us. And we don't always have the answers, but we're doing the work, and the work that we're doing is actually creating a big light for other people.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that is. We don't see the value in the fact that our willingness to do the work, our willingness to go through what you're going through right now is, it's not easy the first time you create an offer when you're really not clear. I mean, and you know, having clarity is one thing, and you know, you can go and there's so many different ways of approaching this, and there's not one that's better than the other. One will get you someplace faster than the other, but who knows if it's the place that you want to go.
Yeah.
But, you know, being able to offer yourself, offer a service when you feel like you're not ready is hugely valuable, and especially for people who are, you know, we're constantly evolving, so we're always stepping into something that we're not ready for. You know, like that's really the truth. We're always stepping into something that we're not ready for. If we were stepping into something that we were completely ready for, then it would be we're stepping into our comfort zone, and that's not what we're doing. That's really not what we're here to do. So there's some of us that are really meant to step into the dark and have our light shine, so we are ourselves are lighting our own path, and that's kind of, you know, that's not always the easiest because we have to trust ourselves, you know, way more than we would have before, you know, like just following a path or following a system where we're trusting somebody else's formula. Now, there's still, I still think that there's so much value in following, there's so much value in systems, there's so much value in planning, there's so much value in all of that, but those things come after you have that desire. I mean, this is, Napoleon Hill talked about this in Think and Grow Rich. You have to get your desire for what you want. The desire comes first. Infinite intelligence will give you the plan. And if infinite intelligence says, you know, God gives you the plan that says, okay, you know, the best system for you is going to be to follow the system that somebody else used, then, oh, you can confidently say that that's okay, I got it. That's the system that's going to support me because I attracted that information. I attracted that
Yes.
plan. Not that somebody is sitting there telling me, oh, you really should do like, uh, Susie Sales,
Yeah.
their program, because Susie Sales has a masterful program with 1 billion people in their program, and look at how well they do. Well, Susie Sales is in a totally different, aligned with different things than you are.
Yeah.
Finding your own alignment is just, this is the work that we're doing. So, but this relationship is a really comforting place. If we can be in relationship with our business, it brings us so much. um, I'll call it like peace of mind. These are the feelings that it evokes for me: peace of mind, um, trust. It brings me a sense of safety and security, but not the same like, oh, I'm in my comfort zone, safety and security. Like safety and security, like I'm being held through the next step. I'm being held and taken care of, divinely taken care of as my business is moving to the next stage. That
Mhm.
is, to me, feels much better than pushing yourself to do something that you're not ready to do. And I'm not saying that I'm not ready to do what that my business has been calling me to do for the last couple of days. So,
Yeah.
like
Well,
I'm
that's
like,
the
oh my
thing.
gosh, like I have to do some stuff to get ready for that. This isn't going to be an automatic thing where I just walk out the door and say, okay, now I'm ready to do this. However, I can take, take a few first steps. And that's
Yeah.
really easily, and interestingly enough, I've already got a couple things set up that would just be, a very easy thing. I mean, it's already set up that this is naturally going to happen. So,
Yes.
so you're like, oh, okay, that sounds like easy. And for me, this is like the most loving thing I can do for myself is to follow, the relationships, guide, to follow the lead of my work. So,
Yeah, I can relate to that because in the last several weeks I've had opportunities and I've had the ability to touch that, to feel that relationship, that presence, and act from that, which has probably been from the practice of self appreciation, helping clear away cobwebs.
yeah. Do you want to share anything specifically, like, that would help people that might be watching or listening,
On my specific, on the
Yeah,
business situation,
yeah, with your work?
um, I had a situation where I undercharged and I wasn't feeling like I should go back and say something, but more work kept coming from this individual and it was under the auspices of a package price. And for a while I could hold that like that was our agreement. I made an agreement. It was to cover this time frame. It did stipulate a certain kind of number of hours, but it got a little fuzzy around some particular work. And I thought, I'm going to live by the agreement and I'm going to keep honoring it and I'm just not going to say anything. And the longer I went with that and the more work that was wanting to be happening, the more I felt like it was dishonoring of me not to say something. And yet I had this agreement and I like to live by my agreement. So I felt that to honor myself had to be higher than living by the word in the agreement, and that it would honor both of us if I spoke of it. So I clearly sorted it out on paper first, and with that relationship, I felt with that my inner self, like I got into an inquiring way around it, not a judgmental way. So I
Right.
could let it open, and I saw what I had done that had created this in the first place, where I had been unclear and where I had persisted in being unclear. And I saw a tendency to be unclear. And so, like, that's not to say, oh, harsh judgment. It's like, oh, okay, that's like touching a hot stove. I don't think I'll do that again. in my future agreements, I'm going to do that differently. And I think because I feel like I'm starting to hold some resentment, I better say something. And so I opened it in a non-judgmental way with the other person. And in that, there was also a sorting. But I held my esteem of myself and of the other person as nobody's taking advantage of anybody. This is all because we're here because we are honorable and want the very best. And so coming from that place, I was willing to bring up the subject, and the person was also gracious and didn't agree with me all the way. And so, but I'd honored myself, and I realized, because I did this little bit of work around disappointment, that I had to understand that disappointment a little bit, dance with it. Am I too vague, Dawn? Do you want me to
No, actually, I'm feeling clarity around it. I think I'm understanding it, so I'm assuming that other people will too.
Okay.
And
so
and very helpful.
Go ahead.
I mean, just saying, I think this is very helpful to see how. I mean, this is a great story. This is a really good story. So keep going.
Because instead of feeling disappointment and just living there, I dissected it, and I did notice that it was a pileup. It was a pileup of unaddressed situations that were resent to me. So I got to deal with a heap of them at once, because when I looked inside and I felt that disappointment, I just was with the disappointment and allowed it to speak to me. This amazing warmth and light and love came from inside me to expand me, which is why I had the knowing that I could go speak to this person, this client. And wow, what a gift in the middle of what didn't feel good, to have so much light come and so much information informing me of how I am able to offer more light.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, sometimes gosh, you're really doing the work. I mean, the work is, doing the self-appreciation and making that a priority. And isn't it so honoring when we're doing that work? It honors everybody. It's such an illusion that if we're only appreciating ourselves, that everybody else is excluded from that formula. And the truth is that who we are as human beings is that we are loving and compassionate, and that we are connected, and we want to support each other. We didn't come, we're not born as islands, and we really are, at some level we want to be of the most help we can to other people. And when you're loving yourself and you're appreciating yourself, that's a natural result of that. That's the truth. I mean, and this is what I found for myself, is I'm able to love my work much more. I'm able to be very much more compassionate towards my clients. I'm much more compassionate towards my friends. Much more understanding and compassionate of the human condition, because for one, it's a heck of a lot of work to really do the work of self-appreciation. I mean, it's not just easy. This is like the heavy lifting, because you had to do a lot of inner stuff in order to get yourself to honor your relationship with you, to talk to somebody else about that. And then, your whole level of understanding of how to communicate with somebody else rises, of how to be, how to price your services rises, your understanding of all of that just rises when we are coming from that space of self-appreciation first. And you wouldn't guess that.
Yeah.
Just would not guess that that's the case. But talking about that relationship, though, Robin, did you feel held? This is the question. Did you feel held by the relationship that is there between you and your work and you and yourself. We'll just say that as you move through this. I mean, you know, the question is, did you feel held and supported by the relationship that's trying to emerge between you and your client?
Yes. And I wouldn't have known had I not been willing to pause and feel the disappointment, acknowledge it, and ask it, what is the message you have for me? I wouldn't have gotten all of that sense of the being held. Like the word cradle came to mind.
Yeah.
You know, to be actually cradled so that the nurtured, and I know, you know, I played an active role in getting that nurturing.
Yeah. And it's yeah, there's so much here, you know, like it just there's so much good in the work we do, and there's so much good in us to add to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just, you know, there is a relationship that's there within your business that's just allowing you, that's just there for your whenever you want, you can just ask. And I got one of the things that I started this conversation, I don't know if you were on yet or not, or were able to hear, is I was talking about how sometimes we can feel like we're hearing like little pieces coming in to us, and there's a, just by the nature of being entrepreneurs, we're going to attract a lot of ideas, and a lot of time, you know, like sometimes those ideas can just be distractions. One of the things, and this has been true to me, is that one of the things that I have discovered since the practice of doing the work of self-appreciation is that I am so much more aware. Like, I don't have to go through, I have a series of 4 questions that I used to ask myself, you know, and it would be a whole big mind game. You know, is this a distraction, or is this really an inspired thought, you know? And I would have to like sit and think about it. There was so much thought involved. Deciding, is this a distraction, or is this, you know, how do I know? How do I know? When you're doing this work of self-appreciation, and you're doing that, when you get an inspired action or something, you know immediately, because it revolves around, is this self-honoring? Oh, and self-honoring involves expansion. It involves, you know, yeah, direct, you know, like moving toward it. It involves all those other questions that I used to ask, but it's like more of a feeling thing. Does this help me feel more of me? That's really what this relationship wants us to do, right? Is feel more of us in relationship while we're doing our work. And that is, yeah, you know, write that one down.
Yeah, that's
really
the truth.
important. We want to find ourselves where we're feeling so ourselves, doing the work that we're meant to do, that nothing else is, like, there is no room for distractions, because you know, the moment something comes in that doesn't match that vibration of the most expansive you,
Yes.
kind of goes, it just doesn't fit anymore. It just doesn't fit. So you're going to see there's a lot of things that I may never talk about anymore, and I don't know what they are, but you may never hear me saying them because they just don't fit anymore into into the work that I'm doing. And it doesn't mean that they don't still work. It just means that they don't fit in my vibration anymore.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. So, and that's the work of, you know, appreciating yourself, paying attention to the relationship, and appreciating the work that you do. I mean, that comes along with it. You get that relationship. You get that there's something bigger there that's moving you to the right work, the most you work. And it's not the right meaning because it's a right decision or it's a wrong decision. It's a right because it's the most you. You know, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm happy you share that story, because I'm sure that that's going to help somebody else understand, you know, we get ourselves into situations like that all the time. Not all the time, but when you allow yourself to process it while you're in it, you have much more learning opportunities than, ignoring it.
And it came for the reason of teaching us and of lifting the expression of truth and relationship between us. There's the only reason for anything happening, I think, is to give us that opportunity.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so it is to allow the two of you and your client into a relationship. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. It's me with me with presence, God, and me with my client, and with my future clients, and with my clients' future clients.
Right. Mm.
It's expansive.
Yeah.
Because not everyone wants to have that conversation, and if they do, it can be painful. And what I observed is my client was so gracious and listening for his own resonance, and where he resonated, we had agreement, and where he didn't resonate, we also had agreement, because there was honoring of both sides. So I could say, okay, I'm going to honor our agreement, and there's some expansiveness because I overshot the agreement, and there was some acknowledgement of that. So,
wow.
But not everyone wants to have that conversation, and I didn't even want to have that conversation.
No, but how? That's just yeah. You learn way more that way. I was just gonna say, I have known for myself, the more you don't run away from the relationship or the authentic what's really going on, and the more you just communicate that's so self-honoring, and the more you don't have to relive it the next time around, where then you get the opportunity to make it right.
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's, we get these opportunities all the time to take care of things right now in the most honoring way, in the most loving way of all parties involved. And and then we get to do over. I've been thinking a lot about Groundhog's Day. I think that we're all just living in this Groundhog's Day. We get a chance every single day to do it over. Are we making those choices based on what do we want and who we really are, who do we really want to become, and like every day looking at it's the same day, like which I loved about Groundhog's Day, but are we learning things that help us become more of us, or are we just ignoring things and making a joke out of everything? Because that's really how in the Groundhog Day movie, that's how he managed his life, was just by being sarcastic and just showing up to just do the work that was required of him right now, being the superstar in that role, instead of allowing himself to go deep and discover who he really was. I just love that movie.
I'm gonna have to watch that movie again. That's gonna go up on the shelf with Hitch.
Yeah. Well, it was just really fun if you watch him really make decisions. I mean, his desire, which was so funny, if you look at that movie from the point of view of, of the law of desire, the desire will actually get you there someplace, whether or not it's where you think you're going to go. I mean, he thought he wanted just that girl and that relationship with her to just be a physical relationship. That was his motivation from the very beginning, was I'm going to get her to go to bed with me. That was that was the motivation. And what happened on that Groundhog's Day is like he kept having to replay this thing over and over and over again until that desire transformed him.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And the desire that's what happens when we are conscious of the desire. The desire will transform you to where you get to live the most magnanimous life that you could possibly live, where your life is a light for somebody else and for other people. However, if we constantly are going from one desire to another and we're not allowing ourselves to transform, and we're not allowing ourselves to really pay attention to the things that we really want and not judging them as good or bad, because I could have judged the character in that movie. Who was it? Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have judged him and saying, oh, he's a player, He's like, what a disgusting guy, all he wants is one thing. And judge that desire. This is why I will never judge somebody's desire, because I know that no matter what, that desire will get people the transformation that they're looking for. Not even the transformation that they're looking for. Sometimes it'll get them a transformation that they've never seen in their lives. They never expected. The desire totally rules in my life. So the point is that he became something much more than he ever expected, much more than anybody else ever expected, because he followed desire.
Yay.
So yeah, watch it and see what you have to say about it. So I talked quite a bit today. Mark, are you done getting dressed and all the stuff that you were doing? Are you conscious of the relationship that's in your business, and do you have some thoughts on like that relationship that's between you and the people you serve that uses your work to connect you to?
Mute yourself, Mark.
Oh, I might have him muted. Oh,
I muted it. There he is.
okay.
I stand unmuted before you. And yet, even though the answer to your 67-word question is yes, I have thoughts, they are now muted before you.
Okay.
To answer the fact, yes, I have thoughts, but I am mutely sharing them with you. See if you can feel them. I am doing my work now. It is done. Go forth and prosper.
My thanks.
Why, you're welcome, Dawn. I'm practicing looking at the camera and not looking at your eyes. Am I doing a better job this week?
Yeah, great job.
I want to praise Dawn for giving me a private tutorial after last week's episode. I want to say episode because it's kind of like a fun TV reality show and a mastermind group and a coffee clutch and a clubhouse. And I praised Dawn to the sky. Well, I praised Dawn a lot for that incredible ability to keep smiling and keep staring at the camera. And anytime I watch this wonderful gathering, she's always looking right at me. And I've noticed when I look at the replays, I'm looking at the floor and at my armpit and anywhere but people's eyes. So I begged her to give me a master class in that, and she did. And now I can't take my eyes off of you on the camera. Wake me up, Dawn. Don't try to wait. Do something. Thank you. Oh, I'm back.
You're awake.
So many things you learned here.
So good, yeah. And for the master class is look at the camera when you're talking, and other people will feel seen. Don't look at the camera when somebody else is talking. Look at them, because it makes it easier. Then you can see them too. Ah, so that was it. That was the
tip for mankind. One giant step for the hypno guy.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're doing great. It looks good too. Thank you. And I love the way your face is framed up in the camera too. So you're doing great. Evolution happens.
Right here in our mastermind.
I know. Who would
I loved Robin singing Matchmaker. That was the hit of the day. I did, but you already had me muted, so I couldn't do it.
I heard you for a half second, yes, and I didn't mute you right then. It was later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can sing Jewish songs anytime.
I had a cool experience. It's just about loving your business. It wasn't going to be an immediate payoff. I got a lead through a silly little service called, well, I won't say it on the air. And normally I don't even follow up much except to send a little hello and nothing happened. But it turned out to be local. And long story short, I felt there was something there, and I got to network 3 different people to this woman. there might be something for me way down the road, but that really wasn't what I was driving at. What is that? Oh, it's the bathroom next door. And it took me 2 days, but I got a mind-reading couple and comedy magic person booked for their for this woman's party for 5 people, and I also hooked her up with a nurse friend of mine who does esthetician stuff for cancer patients. Turns out this woman, unbeknownst to me until we had talked a lot, has a whole business providing camisoles for recent mastectomy patients, because that's the kind of thing she makes is practically the only thing they can wear. And it's really a delight. She turns out to live down the street. So I did my work, which was matchmaking, without really being attached to some kind of outcome for me. And I love that. I really do. I told her I think I had a past life as a matchmaker.
Nice. Yeah. Oh my God.
When Robin sang that before, I was ready to jump out of the chair where I was convalescing. I'm going to a chiropractor right after this show. And I restrained myself until this moment, because I thought it'd be a story to end the whole deal with. And we're coming up on that 10 o'clock hour, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. And Andrea left. I hope, Andrea, if you're watching on the outside, we are.
We were going to say, just getting there.
Yeah, hopefully you're feeling better, Andrea, and that we can see you popping in here soon. And Elaine, I know you're watching from the outside. So hey, happy birthday, girlfriend.
Who's got a birthday?
Elaine.
Elaine,
happy birthday. Oh, and the S Happens show? Is that our Elaine with the S Happens?
Nieberding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elaine Nieberding.
Yeah, okay.
And it's her birthday today. And she's listening, and she's loving the topic, and she's so happy that she's watching us on here. So we love Elaine. We love you, Elaine. So.
Well, I love hearing you two guys talk, Robin and Don. I don't remember much of it, but it was very nourishing.
Just nice, and the final word that I want to bring to today's is if you're having a hard time listening to your business, you can actually sit down and journal and ask the questions. Ask some questions. What is it that you are trying to, what kind of relationships are you trying to hook me up with? Since we're talking about the matchmaker, what kind of relationships are the most nourishing for me, or what, how can I serve people right now the most, or whatever it is, whatever it is that you're feeling stuck on. This is really the key, is you can ask your business those questions, relationship, ask your work those questions. How can I serve, whatever you're stuck on? And if you want to stick around after, I'll stop the broadcast, and after the hangout in the green room, we'll do a little quick hot seat heaven. If you have anything you're stuck on, pop in on the I know Elaine, or I know Robin, you have to check out because you've got something going on too. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if it's a no-show, I will hop back on.
All right, sounds great.
Yeah, and, love you guys. I'm going to go.
Love you too. And Mark, I love asking you to sing us out. You want to sing us out today?
Yes. We're leaving the Mastermind Alliance. It's so nice. We come here every Monday, not just once, but 3 or 4 times, not just twice. We love each other. We sing to each other at the end of every mastermind. While the rest of the country is whiting out, I'm here in Southern California. It's just fine. Well, boy, I got rid of Robin with that one. That was.
She had to jump off the show.
Are we on the air? Are we still on the air?
We are awesome. I'm going to say goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next week at noon Eastern time. Goodbye.